and welcome into Bruins Rinkside. Usually you see Connor and I doing podcasts together, but get ready. We got some videos coming at you. This offseason, I'm Evan Marinofsky alongside Boston Sports Journal's Conor Ryan, your two favorite Bruins writers, here again talking topical hockey stuff. And on this Thursday afternoon, nothing more topical than Frank Cervalli of TSN's Trade Bait column, which had quite a bit in it, highlighted by his little quick hit on Bruins goaltender Tuukka Rask, saying Vezina Trophy runner-up Tuukka Rask debuts on the board, his trade bait board, at number 10. Many were wondering if there would be fallout from Rask's decision to leave the bubble for family reasons, a decision that was certainly supported by teammates. But multiple sources indicate that Bruins GM Don Sweeney has initiated conversations with teams about Rask's market value over the last number of weeks. Conor Ryan, what is your reaction to that?
Kind of surprising just in terms of, and, I don't think this really plays in terms of, the last straw was him leaving the bubble or something like that, where kind of knowing what the circumstances were there with dealing with a family issue. But I just think when you look at sizing up the value you'd get for Rask, I'm curious as to what you'd actually realistically get for him, considering one, you look at the level of production he brings, yeah, he would help out many teams. But for a guy who is going to be a free agent at the end of next year, and when you factor in that, look at the rest of the market, the one area it seems like there's a surplus of talent is at the goalie position, whether it's, legitimate free agents. You could see, other kind of goalies like Darcy Kemper get traded, or Matt Murray will probably get traded. Depending on what happens in Vegas, if Robin Leonard, if he goes elsewhere, that'd be a target. But if not, then Marc-Andre Fleury could be a guy who, hits the trade market. You got, Lundqvist, all these guys. Like, you can go on and on. Markstrom in Vancouver. There's so many guys that you look at what a team that'd be interested in Rask, and it's like, all right, well, are we going to trade, whatever price the Bruins want? You could go through a whole bunch of different assets, or if it's a first-round pick or something like that, would you give up that for Rask, who is still a great goaltender, but is only under contract for 1 year? Or would you rather pay or trade for, a guy like Kemper who won't cost you as much, or go and sign maybe another guy that puts you over the top? It's kind of tough to see what the Bruins would get back that would justify trading the Vezina runner-up, a guy who knows what happens this season if certain circumstances didn't go their way in terms of how the bubble worked out. So you look at, especially I think when you factor in this market and how it is this year with goalies, I just don't really know what you're going to get in terms of an adequate return for a guy like him. And that just adds another thing for the Bruins to worry about this offseason, right? It's like, all right, you trade Rask for, I don't know, you get a first-round pick back, or, maybe a solid player, but what are you going to do at the goaltending position, right? Like, you already have to look at the top six. You got to deal with maybe if Krug leaves. All right, well, now you have to look for another goalie, because if you roll out next year and it's Halak and Dan Vladar, I don't think that's the best way this team, if they're adamant about, retooling and putting together another cup run. I think you have to look at signing another one of those guys, or trading for a guy like Kemper or someone. Yeah, I think you can't roll out Halak as the number one with an unproven goalie like Vladar as the backup. So it just seems like it causes more problems than, it's not like a situation where, even if it's, we've heard about, DeBrusque getting, mentioned, Carlo's been mentioned in the past. Those are guys that you wouldn't want to give up. But if you traded them, these guys who are 23, 24, you at least know you're going to get some legitimate younger return who could probably help this team out in the immediate future. I don't know if you trade Rask. I don't know what the return is going to be that's going to justify getting another guy with 1 year left on his deal.
He's 33, has a year left on his deal. I think the only way the Bruins trade him is if they look at this team and say, we need to retool. We're not going to be cup contenders next year. Let's get something for this guy. You can get a good amount. You get a first-round pick. But again, that all hinges on if you don't think you're a Stanley Cup contender. If you think the roster you have is good enough to win a Stanley Cup, you don't trade Tuukka Rask right now. Now, I understand Don Sweeney's doing this because he has a year left on his deal. He wants to see what he can possibly get. Also, Craig Custance of The Athletic yesterday said a lot of eyes are on the Bruins, a team that's next to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I know they've discussed him, said one NHL source, and one name that has come up in conversations I've had with people outside of Boston is Tuukka Rask. Mm-hmm. And, Custon says the problem is that the Bruins are very much in a win-now mode. They'd have to replace him with a goalie who gives them the same shot to win a championship. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if Halak and like Thomas Greiss gets you to a Stanley Cup. I don't know how that happens. You can't count on the Hudobin method of getting you to the Stanley Cup. It's fun, but the probability of it is not very high. Again, your best shot at Stanley Cup is with Tuukka Rask in net. I don't, again, you can look at the track record and stuff, but he's gotten them there twice. Yeah, he hasn't finished it, but your best shot is with Tuukka Rask in net, and the team likes him. And again, I just think that it all comes down to where do you see the team. And if you feel you need to retool and you feel that you're not going to win a cup with Rask, then maybe, you do send him off for picks or for a player. You'd have to get, again, the age and term really isn't on your side. The skill is you're getting a Vezina caliber goalie, whoever's getting him. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams kick tires on Rask. It'll probably leak in the next few days. Obviously, we'll have you covered on that. The other thing that Frank Cervelli mentioned was Anders Bjork. The Oilers talking about a 1-for-1 winger swap with Alex Chiasson and Anders Bjork. My reaction to that is I don't see how that gets you any better. I don't see what the point of that would be.
Yeah, no, I think Anders Bjork's a guy who you're probably going to hear in a lot of trade rumors, and I know he went through, the typical road bumps you'd expect for a guy in pretty much his first full season, considering how injured he's been the last few years. But I think you look at his skill level, the potential that he shows that, if he starts, finishing more of these plays, which again, he's 20, maybe I think just turned 24. He's a guy who you expect is going to get better and better. And I'm not saying he's going to be a 25 goal scorer, but he can put forward more consistent 5-on-5 offense than he's shown so far. And I wouldn't put it past him to just take that next step forward, just natural progression of a young player. And you factor in the fact that his contract's pretty agreeable and the fact that he's getting under $2 million for the next 3 years. In this kind of flat cap era we're in right now, it makes a lot of sense why a team would be targeting a guy like him. But for a guy like Chiasson, I don't really see the appeal there. You got a guy who it's going to cost you more against the cap, not a significant amount. I think it's like maybe 2.15 or something like that.
It's just 2.1.
Yeah. But he's 30 years old. He's averaged, I think, 10.6 goals per season over his career, except if you factor out the 2018-19 season, which he had 22 goals. But shocking, he played with the most during that year. He played 575 on 5 minutes with Leon Draisaitl.
Really?
No crap. He's going to generate that offense. And if he's with the Bruins, is he going to be next to Bergeron? Is he going to be the solution next to Krejci, or is he like a third line kind of guy with Coyle? And I just think you look at what he brings, and he's not a proven 5-on-5 scorer unless he's with a legitimate elite talent. I know we're not even talking about like Coyle's a good playmaking center, but he's not Leon Draisaitl. Like, we're talking about elite playmakers.
Oh, he's better.
You just look at that, you factor in the age, and I'm sure people are going to look at the tail of the tape and look at Chiasson and see that he's 6'4". He's not that kind of guy. Like, he uses his size if he's on like the power plays.
A big winger. Guy. Oh my God.
Yeah, it works out so well when they do that. But even then, it's not like, you get a guy like Ritchie who's a big winger who hasn't worked out, but like, that's his style of play. It just doesn't translate here. Like, Chiasson's not like this guy who's going to be knocking guys around. He's like a bigger dude, but it's kind of like Coyle. Coyle's a bigger guy, but he's not like a guy who's going to like knock you around like even a Corrali or one of these other guys. He doesn't fit that bill as being what the Bruins are looking for in terms of being a winger with size that's tough to play against. Like, he's just who he is. He's a guy who, if you put him on a third line, he's probably going to get you 11, 15 goals. And for a guy who's 30, I don't know how that moves the needle when, if you keep Bjork, then great. He's a guy who's probably going to get better with this team. It, remains to be seen what his ceiling's going to be. But I just don't know how getting a guy like Chiasson's really going to help you out there, especially if you wanted to trade Bjork later on. I think you can get a better return than 30-year-old Alex Chiasson. And I'm talking from a BU guy too that is turning down another Terrier on this team. Now it's Chiasson. That's when you know it's legit.
Incredible. Well, this has been Bruins Rinkside. We'll have more for you, whether it be Bruins Beat, the podcast, or Poke the Bear, the podcast. Connor has stuff for you at Boston Sports Journal, me over at CLNS. We're going to have a lot more trade stuff. It doesn't seem like this offseason's simmering down. It's only getting more and more hot. That stove is getting way too hot. For CLNS Media, I'm Evan Marinofsky. This has been Bruins Rinkside.